Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Ocean Forum of this year at Boot Düsseldorf. As we start, I would like to extend my congratulations to Frank Schweikart and the entire team of the German Ocean Foundation for once again pulling together the Love Your Ocean exhibition that you can see just over there, and also the whole stage programs we have throughout the whole week on this stage. 10 years, 10 challenges, 1 ocean. And only until 2030 to deliver the transformation we collectively committed to. We are at the midpoint of the United Nations Decade for Sustainable Ocean Science and Sustainable Development. Human well-being and the planet's ecosystem are intrinsically linked to the health of the ocean. They cannot be separated, they must exist in harmony. As the Stakeholder Coordination Officer at the Ocean Decade Coordination Unit, which sits in the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, I see every day how powerful collaboration becomes when we bridge disciplines across sectors and communities. At the same time, I am constantly reminded of how much more remains to be done. In this context, the reluctant lack of formal mechanisms can also be seen as an opportunity. We need to bring diverse expertise together, synthesize knowledge, and translate it into tangible action. Today's speakers, we have 12 speakers here today, respond each to one of the 10 Ocean Decade challenges. Coming from different backgrounds, we have speakers across research, business, policy, and innovation. They will share a short, inspiring 5-minute pitch about their work. So in the light of the Ocean Decade's mission, the science we need for the ocean we want. We want to start by watching a short input from Vidar Helgesen, who is the Executive Secretary of IOC UNESCO.
Dear ocean lovers, let me start by thanking Frank Schweikart and the German Ocean Foundation for inviting me to speak at this celebration, midpoint of the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development at Boot Düsseldorf 2026. I'd also like to thank Petros Mikelidakis and the Boot Düsseldorf team for their strong support for the Love Your Ocean initiative. This is an initiative made possible by a wide range of partners, exhibitors, civil society organizations, businesses, and ocean users contributing to Love Your Ocean and to the UN Ocean Decade. Boot Düsseldorf is a unique global meeting place for water sports, businesses, innovation, and civil society, a community very much driven by passion for the ocean. Love Your Ocean is a strong supporter, a long-standing supporter of the Ocean Decade, with a structure of 7 interactive islands designed around 7 Ocean Decade outcomes. This community matters because sailors, surfers, divers, ocean racers, foilers, they're often the first to see what is going on with our ocean, on the surface, below the surface, along coastlines, the changes that are happening and that are happening at an ever faster pace. As such, these users of the ocean are critical ocean citizen scientists, and they can be powerful enablers and powerful communicators of what is going on and of the need for action to change course. This matches very much the basic idea of the Ocean Decade. It's a decade for ocean science, but it's not a decade for scientists only. It's a decade for ocean action, supported by science, supported by knowledge. And since the future of the ocean depends on tens of thousands of decisions made every day in governments, in local authorities, in businesses, in households, we depend on knowledge to be distributed and to reach new communities for people to make the right decisions for the benefit of the ocean. So progress for the Ocean Decade depends on connecting knowledge to people and to all those decisions. Love Your Ocean is doing exactly that, making science visible, making science understandable, and making science usable. This is what we need even more of in the second half of the ocean decade. Midpoint, we know the challenges are huge and growing. We know changes are happening faster and faster, and therefore our response to these changes needs to be even faster and at a bigger scale. For that, we depend on strong partnerships. We depend on partnerships of different categories of people and actors, and Love Your Ocean and Düsseldorf are exactly those kinds of initiatives that can mobilize different communities, turning engagement and commitment into ocean impact, lasting impact for the benefit of the ocean, for the benefit of humanity. So I thank you, and I wish you every success.
Thank you very much. As Vidar Helgesen very clearly stated, we need all hands on deck. So each one of you can also think when you go home, when you be inspired by today's panel, to what can you do to achieve and to contribute to a healthy ocean. First, we will hear from our panelists today what they do to achieve that. So our first speaker is Dominik Kurczynski, Communications Officer at the NGO Shipbreaking Platform. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Good. Hello everybody. First of all, thank you very much for having me here with our NGO. We're well aware of the fact that we represent quite a niche sector. Not a lot of people know about shipbreaking and harmful practices of that harmful industry. So first of all, who we are. NGO Shipbreaking Platform. As an NGO, we are a global coalition of organizations working to reverse environmental harm and human rights abuses caused by current shipbreaking practices, and to ensure the safe, environmentally sound dismantling of end-of ships worldwide. Pretty niche sector, and it's important to know that end-of-life ships are and should be considered as waste, not only like basically in a legal framework, that's how it should be. They should be treated as such. Unfortunately, that's not the reality. That's something we advocate against, and we propose good solutions. As the vast majority of world's end-of-life fleet, it's full of toxic substances, it's asbestos, oil, and it's broken down mostly by hand by workers in India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. And we fight against those practices, and I'll show you them in a second. So basically, what's happening? Big industries based in the West and also East Asia. Big, large marine goods transporting companies, they own a lot of ships. At the end of their lives, they have to be treated somehow. Problem is most of them are treated on 3 beaches in Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India, directly on beaches by a process called beaching. So since 2009, I'm not sure, maybe those numbers already went a bit higher, we had more than 8,000 ships beached. And since this, as I said, is a dangerous practice, we constantly witness deaths and serious injuries happening there. Almost around 500 and more than 500 injuries for the last 16 years. So yes, those are some pictures from those beaches. So this is the dirty reality of that dirty industry. We see how it's happening in Chattogram in Bangladesh and Lang, India, where most of worldwide end-of-life ships are being dismantled by hand. I'm aware this is not a very nice view, but this is the dirty reality, and where big players of this world contribute. It's problematic not only to nature, but also to workers. We are aware that there is a lot of heavy contamination of air and water, where there is a lot of oil spills, asbestos, basically also a lot of workers' rights abuses happen there, accidents, sicknesses. This is bad reality that's covered largely from public eye. Like what? As I said, asbestosis, this is a very typical sickness happening around workers working there. Other occupational diseases, effects of dioxins and heavy metal, pollution. Then we have to talk about the costs of remediating the land and beach contamination, groundwater contamination, loss of fisheries. Communities there say the ocean water is heavily polluted and contaminated around those ship-breaking beaching yards, and they cannot fish anymore. So This is a real yet largely unknown problem that we're trying to fight against. So how is this happening? Why is this industry still thriving? Basically, there's a couple of things that enable this. First of all, is let's say intermediary shady businesses that we call cash buyers. So basically, those are companies operating on a gray zone of legal activities when they buy mostly using cash old ships from large companies. Those companies are not registered in Europe. They're, for example, registered in Dubai, Singapore. So they don't have to follow, let's say, European stricter rules. And then they sell those beaches to those yards based over there so that they can get more money through basically for steel that can be recovered from those ships. Another problem that enables this is the problem of reflagging. So we have a lot of companies based, for example, in the EU, yet most of their ships sail under flags of countries like Panama, St. Kitts and Nevis, Marshall Islands. So again, those are technically the countries that should be responsible for environmentally sound and safe shipbreaking, and not countries and companies that are basically based in the West, like Greece, France, US, even China. Yes, so the legal framework that enables this is, for example, the famous Hong Kong Convention that was put into place last June. That sets quite low standards. Basically, did not exclude beaching as the harmful practice. Unlike, for example, Basel Convention, that covers the treatment of hazardous waste worldwide, or the EU ship recycling regulation. Those two regulations proposes higher standards of treatment. Yet now Hong Kong Convention is put into place, so this again creates a kind of a legal limbo when large players use this also as means of greenwashing, to say that this is happening and there's a convention that enables that. Yet we will all know that the reality is far more difficult than this. We were also there during Hong Kong Convention talks, and we know that there were big players that didn't want to put any stricter rules in terms of treatment of end-of-life ships. So that was our little action that happened there years ago. I think that was 2009. A little shaming big players, that's also something we should do, because what they don't like is public eye on their shady activities. What we also do, we publish some reports on the subject, not only in South Asia, but also in Turkey, which is also a big shipbreaking nation. And soon in February, we'll publish our yearly dumpers list. So this is our, let's say, largest naming and shaming campaign, where we name several companies and countries that are involved in shady shipbreaking practices. We try to do it well, but still, what happens, we often get threatened by those companies through some slap cases. As I said, they don't like their activities to be known by big public. There are still best practice examples. Those are pictures from a couple of shipbreaking yards in Europe, namely I see there's the round one on the third. One's in Kishorn in Scotland, where two of my colleagues had a recent trip to see it. It's currently being expanded. So basically, what we advocate for is for stricter rules in terms of ship recycling, because we see, as Basel Convention says, we see all end-of-life ships as a waste, and they should be treated where this waste is produced. In our case, for example, in Europe, and it should not be sent to Bangladesh or India, where bad things happen, not only for nature, but also for workers. Am I allowed to stop? So our biannual event is happening this year in Marseille, where we get progressive stakeholders and industries to provide solutions and propose basically what's better in this industry. And this is our circularity vision, when we see how things could work in the future, where circularity is put in place, and the nature and workers do not pay price for shady practices that we fight against. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dominic. A lot of us, I think, do not know what happens behind the scenes, so this was very enlightening. Our next speaker is Alisa Turkov, Head of Communications Department of the Senckenberg Ocean Species Alliance in Germany.
So I'm not complete. Perfect. Thank you very much for the introduction. Let me show you today how giving unknown species a scientific name might help them to get protected from extinction, in this case from deep sea mining. This is not working very well. Okay. Yeah, so for many years the deep sea has been considered as an empty space where no life can be found. Nowadays we know that this is actually not true, so the deep sea is full of life, and specifically in those areas where solid underground can be found, for example like rock formations or deep sea mounds, we can find hotspots of biodiversity. So for example, the deep sea is mostly covered with muddy sands, and rock formations provide solid underground for species that can attach to them, grow on them. One example is manganese or polymetallic nodules, and those nodules are very interesting for deep sea mining because they contain all the rare minerals that we need for industry, for batteries, car engines and so on. But we know that these manganese nodules are hotspots of biodiversity too, because many species actually live and grow on them. For example, you can see here anemone sponges living on these rock formations. Also, other habitats that are prone to deep sea mining are full of life, like for example the hydrothermal vents or cobalt-rich crusts that cover seamounts are full of life. That is also shown here on these images. This is a very simplified picture of the potential impact, negative impact that deep sea mining will have on the ecosystems here. Only to name a few, we will have noise pollution, we will have light pollution in areas in the deep sea where it's completely dark and quiet, and we don't know what kind of impact this might have on the animals that actually live there. And the far bigger risk is that by collecting the manganese nodules, there will be plume that is going up into the water column and will basically clog species or animals' gills, so they will suffocate. And also the plume that goes up will at some point come down again and will cover everything underneath it. So all the animals that live on the ground will be covered by plume, which ultimately will also kill them. And the biggest problem is that it's not really predictable how far these plumes will reach, because of course it's going up, but due to the water movement it will be spread over bigger areas, so the areas might be much larger than actual the sites where deep sea mining will take place. Yeah, so it's very hard to predict how bad the impact will be. So we know that there will be bad impact, but we cannot predict how bad it will be. And also the problem is that we do not really know, or we do not know enough about the deep sea. We don't know what kind of species live there. 90% of the marine species that live there are still unknown to science. And the question is now, how can we protect something that we actually don't know? And the Senckenberg Ocean Species Alliance addresses exactly this question. Our motto is discover, protect, inspire. And in a nutshell, this means that we discover new species, we describe them and give them a scientific name. And this allows us to assess those species for the IUCN Red List. And the IUCN Red List is a very powerful tool when it comes to political decisions, because it's considered a neutral scientific knowledge base. And with this information, living and knowing what species live where and what kind of risk extinction they have, political decisions can be influenced. And our third part is the inspire part, which means that all the knowledge that we generate from discovering and protecting, we digest it into information in order to engage the general public, but also policymakers, and to inform them about the negative impact of deep sea mining. One of our success stories is the discovery of this animal, the scalyfoot. We described it for the first time, gave it the scientific name, which is Chrysomalum squamiferum, and also assessed it for the IUCN Red List. This species lives only in the Indian Oceans in hydrothermal vents, meaning that when these specific places will be addressed by deep sea mining, then this species will be gone forever. And we have multiple of these examples. We have, tomorrow I have a talk at 11 also here. If you want to learn more about the negative impacts of deep sea mining, then yeah, please come to see me there. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elisa. Your presentation couldn't be more timely, as all the creatures we've seen here are in areas beyond national jurisdiction, so in the high seas. And 2 days ago, the BBNJ agreement, so the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction agreement, came into force. So I think this is really the year of the deep sea. I'm happy to announce our next speaker, Eishigil Chil, Program Manager and Consultant at Marine Life Conservation Society. The floor is yours.
Hello everyone. Thank you for inviting us to this beautiful event, and we are happy to present here also on behalf of my colleagues who couldn't make it here. They are in Istanbul, I'm sure they are watching right now. Marine Life Conservation Society, Deniz Yaşamını Koruma Derneği. Thank to them also to help me out with this presentation. So this is their work and I'm happy to present for you. This is about Marmara Sea. And well, first of all, I want to say that this is not an abstract environmental issue. Mucilage came to Marmara Sea, maybe some of you know about this, in 2021. And since 2024, mucilage has returned to Marmara Sea, and by early 2025, it reached the scale of national environmental disaster. Basically, it's not a history, it's happening right now. There is actually the video in here, but I'm not sure how to play that. Oh yeah, there. Thank you. Well, it really looks terrible, and it affects the whole life. So I'm going to go through why we are now talking about Marmara Sea. So what's about Marmara? It's a very special area. It's a sensitive sea of the world. And this is actually because it connects the Mediterranean and the Black Sea, and has a unique two-layered water system with the very limited circulation. And at the same time, there's an incredible, intense human pressure, and is home to nearly 20% of Turkey's population. When something goes wrong in Marmara, that means the system cannot recover easily. So it affects Aegean, Mediterranean, the whole seas, also Black Sea. Therefore, it's quite important for us to look after it. And now, I'm talking about the mucilage, right? So you see the pictures here. What about it? It's a symptom of pressure. Mucilage is often described as a pollution, but it's not only just pollution, it's also as a result of accumulated pressure. Untreated domestic and industrial discharges, rising sea temperatures, and climate-driven stagnation come together. Over the last 50 years, the Sea of Marmara has warmed about 2 degrees Celsius. So that means that mucilage is not a disease, it's a symptom. And then, when we look at this, again, there's a video that I want to play without the sound, because the sound is underwater sound. Thank you. What happens with the mucilage? What happens? What do I mean about the symptom of pressure? It's often the problem is that it blocks the exchange of the oxygen between the sea and atmosphere. It prevents the lights reaching the deeper waters and threatens the all benthic life. But the impact is not only ecological, it's also economical. Fisheries suffer, ports are affected, vessels experience operational problems, when navigating or docking in mucilage covered waters. So then we come to Marine Life Conservation Society. What we do, we see the sign of recovery. What is the sign of recovery? It's corals. Of course, it's not only corals, but I'm going to talk about this success story. Corals are ecosystem engineers. Although they cover a very small area, and they support nearly quarter of all our marine life. Of course, you know all about this. In the Sea of Marmara, mucilage directly cover and suffocate corals. But yet, recovery is possible. Because at Tavşan Island is, the old name is Neandros, and it's one of the Princess Islands of Istanbul. For those who have been there, probably you know about this island, right? And there is the protected area. In that protected area, as Marine Life Conservation Society, we work heavily on transplantation of these corals. We transplanted 400 deep sea corals to a protected area, to this protected area, and today, nearly 75% are alive. And new coral colonies are forming. And actually, that says to us, action can change the story, right? Again, there's a little video there, please. I'm sure this is my friend Ulaş, is working on on the corals. The Sea of Marmara is not exception. It's a warning of what happens when pressure exceeds the resilience. If we reduce the pollution at its source, protect marine habitats, and act together, recovery is possible. Love your ocean doesn't only mean awareness. It means acting before the sea can no longer breathe. There is a detail of all this work explanation on our website, and somebody says stop to me. And please follow us and see us, and in this also Love Your Ocean booth, and you can see how we are working on. And this is the message to everyone: loving the ocean is not about watching it change, it's about acting before it's too late. And please follow us, see us, and talk to us. Let's work together, collaborate together on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It shows how important it is to not lose hope, because if you protect an area, actually we can revive ecosystems such as the corals and the interconnectedness of the ocean. What happens in one place really affects another ecosystem kilometers or hundreds of kilometers away. I would like to welcome our next speaker to the stage, Clara Wetmore from Bindna, who is a junior project manager at EO for Algae. Welcome to the stage.
Yes, hello, and thank you very much for having me. So I'll be talking about something rather dear to me, but maybe unknown to some of you. Specifically, that's algae or seaweed, and in the context of Europe, because in Europe we actually want to grow a sustainable algae industry, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But first, before coming here, I did a little bit of, let's say, research to understand how boat people might see algae and what that means to you. And nothing particularly positive, it turns out. We hear things like complaints of stinking algae, or even that there are safety concerns around it. And then, of course, my personal favorite is this one. This is not a hull, it is an algae cultivation. So I've seen many shiny boats today, and I don't think there will be a lot of people who would enjoy seeing them covered in algae. I think if we go to our neighbors in the diving section, they might have a positive view of algae, but other than that, it's fair to say people don't think about it very often, or if they do, they have a mostly negative image of algae. I'd like to change that though for you, and I'd like to offer an alternative headline. In this image you see a Hafenalgen project in Kiel in Germany, and what they've chosen to do here is in the off-season, so in winter when all the boats are out of the marina, they've chosen to actually take this space and grow seaweed. Not on boats, of course, but on ropes. And the reason they're doing that is actually because seaweed has many very interesting uses, and you might know it from sushi, these kind of things, but there's a lot more we can do with it. Before we get into the what can we do with algae, I'd like to just go over a few little basics, and that is that we have, when we talk about algae, we have macroalgae and we have microalgae. So the macro is also known as seaweed. This is something maybe we've heard of more often. Again, it's sushi, these kind of applications. Essentially, it's large, multicellular. It can even be very large if you think of, for example, kelp forests in Chile or in other regions of the world. Overall, macroalgae are divided into brown, red, and green, so by their pigmentation. In the image, you'll see a happy, I can't think of the English word right now, a robbe, going through a kelp forest. So they provide habitat and food for many marine life. Then on the micro side, as the word suggests, these are very small, they're microscopic in fact, and they are still single cellular organisms. Much like the macro as well, these produce oxygen and absorb carbon dioxide like plants. These are very important for our climate and atmosphere. These microalgae also are the foundation of aquatic food chain. So everything starts from that micro level, and this is really what sustains our oceans. They also have a very high nutritional value to do so. A bit to the why algae. So as I mentioned, the European Union is very interested in growing a European algae industry. And honestly, there could be a whole presentation about why algae, but in these quick 5 minutes, I've decided to divide this into health and environment. So the health part really means that, people, you and I, we can consume more algae. And that is because it's very nutrient dense, first of all, and it has many bioactive compounds that are very beneficial to our health. So that could start from simple food applications. You could eat it minimally processed, think of a seaweed salad, think of sushi, these kind of things. Then there's the next level where we talk about functional food and additives. That's when you start to get a little bit more into processing, you extract the interesting compounds, and these get added to existing foods that we might know. Finally, the nutraceutical and pharmaceutical applications really mean taking these compounds, some of which are, for example, being researched in cancer, for example. Quickly coming to the environmental part, we can look at cultivating seaweed to both restore habitat, clean water, mitigate climate change by taking up CO2, and adapting via resilient food systems and producing safe materials. So we're talking about feed additives, biostimulants for agricultural use, and biomaterials. And as I said, there's a whole presentation that could be held on this. But to learn more, I encourage you to read more about the EU for Algae mission, which is the EU Commission-led initiative and the flagship project of DG Mare. And it's all about creating a European seaweed industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Clara, for showing us the positive side and the potential of seaweed and algae. I actually wrote partly my thesis on that as well, so I'm an algae lover too. Our next speaker is Luciana Villa Castrillon, a PhD candidate at Helmholtz Center, Herion. The stage is yours.
Yes, hello everyone. First, thank you for having me. Today I'm going to talk briefly about what I've been doing during my PhD thesis, and which I have developed under 2 European projects, RESCOS and EDITO. I also want to thank my co-authors of the work today. And yeah, let's begin. Checks a little bit of time. I'm not sure where I need to point. Maybe I'm doing something. No, it's working. Sorry, thanks. Okay, so the motivation behind this work is that we know that the coasts are facing many risks as sea level rise, and they are also developing way faster and increasing in the population. Some of the risks that the coasts are facing are coastal erosion and flooding. For example, here in the picture of the coastal erosion, we see a photograph of the Californian coast, and the floating one is actually from the harbor in Hamburg. It happens during the Sabine storm last year, so we are facing a lot of risk, a lot of changes, and we need a way to protect the coast. So maybe the first thing when you think about this kind of processes and issues are the traditional gray solutions like a dike break or a breakwater, but maybe you have heard the concept of nature-based solutions, which has gathered many popularity during the past years. And nature-based solutions is not there to substitute the traditional solutions, but to work with them in order to contribute to the protection of the coast. One way of this, or like one of these examples for nature-based solutions could be seagrasses, salt marshes, mangroves, or even sand dunes. So here in the video we have the different parts of the impact of the vegetation, and that's where I'm mainly focused in the talk today. I'm going to explain it in a modeling way because I'm a modeler. I'm not really going into the ocean and plant the seagrass, but we do the work mainly theoretically in order to see how it could be if we actually do the work. So the first, or like the nature-based solutions that I chose today that I wanted to show to you is the seagrass meadows. So here in the picture we have a diver for my colleague in Geoma in Kiel, which is replanting the seagrass meadows to see if they will grow as it used to be. So we know that seagrass meadows, they promote biodiversity. We also have many booths here around about the different ways that you could use seagrass for that. They contribute to the coastal protections by calming the waves and also improving the water quality, because they also settle the sediments, so they improve many ways. And besides that, they also are the impact of the carbon dioxide. So they capture the carbon and that way improve the water quality. As I mentioned, I'm a modeler, so I'm trying to explain my model to you. What we do is we take the water levels and the waves, and then we combine it with a coastal model. Well, we are planting the seagrass, and then we do experiments with and without. So we compare what will happen if we don't have seagrass at all, and what will happen if we have a seagrass, and then we make this for different time scales in the future, in the past, and assess the potential and the benefits of the seagrass. And for that, we have been doing this approach for many different areas around the world. So in the Wadden Sea, in the Adriatic Sea, in the Black Sea, and in the Ghana coast. In the Ghana coast, we have implemented the mangroves. And I just wanted to show you a brief example of what I published, or like we published last year, that we developed these erosion risk maps. So here we have two scenarios. So we have on your left, we have on your right, sorry, the scenario without seagrass. So we see that we have more erosion in the areas where there is no seagrass, and then if we implemented the seagrass in this area, then we will have less erosion. This example is for the Jade Bay, which is located in the southern part of the North Sea, and we focus on a storm that happened in 2019, and it's like a simple way to see how seagrass could improve the ecosystems and promote the biodiversity and coastal resilience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Luciana. Makes it very clear how important it is that we have enough data in order to create these models, so very inspiring. I'm happy to introduce you to our next speaker. I know we are going pitch by pitch, but I'm very happy that Mathieu Bailange could join us today. He's the Deputy Director at Under the Pole. So welcome to the stage.
Hello everyone, thank you Laura for this introduction, and thanks again to the German Ocean Foundation for having us and inviting us to be part of the Love Your Ocean initiative at Boot Düsseldorf 2026. So I will present you what we are doing at Under the Pole. Under the Pole is an underwater scientific exploration program founded in 2008 by Emmanuel and Guylain Bardou, who are husband and wife in life. And they share a common passion for underwater exploration, for deep diving, and for polar regions. That is why they have created Under the Pole, that I have the pleasure to lead since 2 years now. What are we doing at Under the Pole? We do underwater exploration, especially in remote, difficult, extreme regions, polar regions, such as the North Pole, where we have been many times. And we had 4 main exploration programs over the years. Our first program was called Under the Pole 1. It was 45 days of autonomous diving at the geographic North Pole, where we documented and filmed the ice underneath for the very first time. And then it has created an entire willingness of our organization to continue and to share this passion for diving. Then we created Under the Pole 2, which was a 2-year diving program in Greenland, where we reached for the first time 100-meter depth in Greenland. We came back as well with the footage of the Greenland shark on this expedition. Then Under the Pole 3, where we created an underwater habitat called Capsule, that you can see here on the picture. And we are now in the 4th program of Under the Pole, named Deep Life. We have 4 main pillars in our activity. We are creating expeditions. On these expeditions, we are conducting science. So we do work with the French National Research Center, the CNRS. And we share that knowledge with education programs. And I have with me here in Düsseldorf, Claire, our educational manager, who is as well acting in classrooms, sharing all our knowledge coming from the field with students, with young people, with young generations. And our last pillar is, of course, advocacy. All the actions that we are conducting, everything that we do it for a better ocean conservation worldwide. Our current program that I mentioned before is called Deep Life. Deep Life is focusing on the mesophotic area of the ocean. What does it mean? Mesophotic, it's between 30 and 200 meters deep. It comes from the Greek name, mesos, light, and phonos, between. So it's between 2 lights. And it's a program that we are conducting for 10 years, endorsed by the UN Decade for Sustainable Science on ocean development and sustainable development. This program is currently in Antarctica, where we have our expedition ongoing. This is our boat, our sailing vessel, the Y. But we are not alone on this expedition. We have an entire team, including a team coming from Germany, because we have the pleasure to collaborate with Boris Herrmann, Team Malaysia, and especially with his sailing vessel, the Malaysia Explorer. We have as well activists on board, so we have Camille Etienne from France, we have Tamara Klink from Brazil, and we have Louisanne Bauer from Germany. They are all together there in Antarctica to spread the word about protecting this unique ecosystem on the Antarctic Peninsula. What are we doing? As I mentioned in the introduction, our specialty is deep diving in extreme conditions, especially in polar conditions. So we are conducting scientific protocols in the area and studying especially marine animal forests. Marine animal forests of the mesophotic zone are creating a unique ecosystem that we need to protect because we do not know it yet. And despite the fact that we are in polar regions, we can see a lot of life underwater, a lot of various species that are creating these marine animal forests, where lots of species are cohabiting together. This is what we are trying to show, to reveal, so make the invisible visible is a bit our motto at Under the Pole, and we are trying to do that right now in Antarctica. We are as well trying to protect the entire wildlife ecosystem, because this part of the world, despite the fact that it's quite remote, inaccessible, is under threat. There's lots and lots and lots of tourism developing in Antarctica. There's a lot of fishing as well. And there is an MPA, a marine protected area, in plans for years. It's called Domain 1. And our main goal of this expedition in Antarctica is as well to make sure that this MPA comes to life and is officially established. This is why we are there and trying to make our work known by the main public. Thank you. I hope I've been quick enough. And you can share all the images, all the different progress of our expedition on our social network and on our webpage. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mathieu. I would definitely encourage everyone here to go on your social media and check out the journey of both of the vessels who are sharing each day very impressive images of their trip in Antarctica. So our next speaker is Claudia Senkert. She's the managing director at the German production company Seatree. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. I am very humbled to be here amongst these amazing scientists. I'm not one of them. I barely made it. I am much better talking about how awesome nature is and how awesome biology is than actually doing the research. And I would like to address what I think is one of the biggest problems that we have in ocean conservation. And that is that the ocean is invisible. Like Mathieu just said, we have to make the invisible visible. But don't take it from me, let's look at the numbers. We have over 8.1 billion people in this world. If we're being optimistic, about 8 million of those are scuba divers and certified divers. We have another 24 million people who are active snorkelers and are enjoying the underwater world. And we have about 10 to 20,000 of you amazing people who are diving for scientific purposes and research. But in the end, that still makes less than 1% of the global population. And the problem that we have with ocean research and ocean conservation is that it is just inaccessible to everyone. And we all try very, very hard to communicate the beauty of the ocean and the ocean life to people. There's documentaries on it, you have amazing images here to show, but how it's not enough. How do we get people to really see and experience an ocean? Because if 8.1 billion people pitch in, we're gonna be so done with trying to save it in no time if we just get people to do what they need to do. And this is to fall in love with the ocean. Because humans have one fault, they only protect what they love, right? So how do we get people to care about something that is not visible to them? I've tried it in a certain way, and this is by creating the world's first mixed reality experience. Mixed reality is not virtual reality, so people do not get sick, they don't get motion sickness, but we've created the first experience that's called Ocean Contact, which will bring the ocean to the people in their homes, in schools, just in the authentic, non-gamified version that the ocean actually is, pure magic in itself. What does this look like? It looks like this. So what exactly is Ocean Contact? Ocean Contact is a mixed reality experience that, if I'm done with it, everybody can do it in their own homes, in schools, museums, aquariums, in cultural institutions, and it will offer complete immersion, which means that you can come face to face with life-sized photorealistic marine animals in a safe and comfortable environment. Because the ocean has another problem. It is dark and it is cold. And that means most people, even when they're diving, are much more concerned with the physics of diving than with enjoying the beauty that is happening around them. So what we're doing is we're bringing the ocean in its authenticity to the people at home. So you can sit on your couch, you can have your coffee, you can share it with your family, and you can see these animals right there by your side Instead of your walls, you will see windows into the ocean. What we're also offering is an authentic soundscape. Because what I always hated in aquariums is that elevator music that everybody sees and then you can watch the fishes. Well, now we've employed an audio engineer to attach the original underwater soundscape to those animals so that it is a complete immersive experience. And we offer an interactive experience, which means that you can actually take these animals out of the wall. You can look at them in detail, you can zoom in and out, you can ask all the questions that you want, or you can just enjoy it. So I brought it here with me. We have a small showroom that will be here today and tomorrow. I'd be happy to talk to you about this experiment and about this ocean contact experience. And I'd love to show you, I'd love for you to experience it live, because that's what needs to happen to people. They need to experience the ocean as beautiful as it is in its reality. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Impressive. I'm looking forward to try it out. Because as we know, not only people that live by the coast are dependent on the ocean. Every second breath we take is produced by the ocean. So we all depend on it, and very interesting to have it experiencing directly in our home. Without further ado, I'm happy to announce our next speaker, Joanna Stavina. She's a senior scientist and department head at Helmholtz Center, Herion. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much, Laura, and thank you for Mer Stiftung for inviting the Digital Twin of Ocean program also to participate here. We have heard a lot about observations, about models, about visualizations, about computing, about decisions. We need to make decisions, and these decisions, they have to be made now. But why? Why do we need digital twin of ocean? What is the digital twin of the ocean? The triple planetary crisis refers to the three main interlinked issues that the humanity is currently faces, namely climate change, pollution, biodiversity losses. The ocean, our ocean, is severely affected by these issues. But from the other side, the ocean can provide a smart solution for this crisis. Therefore, we need to act, and we need to act immediately. This is why the UN Ocean Decade Program Digital Twin has been established and endorsed under the UN Ocean Decade in order to integrate all knowledge, all observation, society and stakeholders toward immediate solutions. But what is the digital twin of the ocean? It is emerging and novel technology, but maybe many of you are not aware of what is the digital twin of the ocean. In general, the digital twin of the ocean is an interactive replica of the ocean. But what is very important, it integrates in a smarter way the different observations, satellite observations, in situ data, the citizen science data. It integrates multidisciplinary modeling tools with artificial intelligence. Why do we need artificial intelligence? Because we need immediate solutions. The decision makers, the stakeholders, the industry, they cannot wait for months for their solutions. They provide their what-if scenario, and they need the immediate solutions. In such a way, the digital twin technology provides powerful tools for better decision making. The Digital Twin Program, D2, is endorsed by the UN Ocean Decade. This is an international program which is co-chaired by 4 persons. This is Marina Tunani from Italy, Sfadin Becerra from Japan, Fei Chei from China, and me. The Digital Twin of Ocean provides a great opportunity to connect knowledge, to connect science and industry and stakeholder with the society. More details about that, you are welcome to follow our D2 website. And in the following, I will provide here information of what is exactly the digital twin of the ocean. There's audio here, so you can basically
by
switch it
uptaking
on.
human-generated carbon and excess heat, it is also an important source of food and livelihood for billions. But our ocean is in danger, as its health is dramatically declining. However, the ocean is also a great source of hope. By understanding and predicting what is happening, we can live more sustainably, adapting our activities to better preserve the ocean and its life-sustaining resources. This is why the development of the digital twin ocean is so important. Compiling terabytes of past, real-time and forecasted information from satellites and sea-based observations, the digital twin ocean combines improved AI with high-performance supercomputers to model the ocean's response to a range of future what-if scenarios in the short and long term. This virtual sea of data takes monitoring and forecasting to the next technological level, opening up a world of possibilities for many organizations and encouraging cooperation between scientists, researchers, businesses, policymakers, and the wider civil society. The Digital Twin Ocean is an accessible, open platform enabling users to create their own applications. Its data will help blue economy businesses with daily operations and plan future projects, from wind farms to more resilient coastal tourism, and make it easier for policymakers and organizations to adapt to an ever-changing ocean, from helping to mitigate the effects of pollution and fishing on marine life to the early warning of coastal flooding. Plus, researchers will be able to study the impact of climate change more closely, from ocean acidification to increases in water temperature.
And I hope I give you an overview what is the digital twin. And in the last 10 seconds, I will just provide you an example of how we develop a digital twin for sustainable blue economy. Namely, can we co-use together aquaculture and offshore wind energy? With the digital twin tools, the users, the industry, and the stakeholders, they can create what-if scenarios that are impossible to be created either by using observations or simple models. For example, they can decide whether or not they should plant offshore wind farm, or whether combine aquaculture, seaweeds, with offshore wind farm. And then come another user and ask, what is the environmental factor of that? What would change if I build seaweeds within the offshore wind farm? With the digital twin technology, the user can create its own scenario, its own model, integrate observation and artificial intelligence for all users, for intermediate, coastal users, governmental agencies, in order to provide better solutions for the ocean we want. In such a way, the digital twin scenarios, they tackle social chain challenges. They are AI-based and they provide smarter, more sustainable decisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joanna. We often talk about the science policy interface and that we need better science-based decision making. So a platform like the Digital Twins really helps to make the ocean more accessible, also especially for policymakers. Our next speaker is Arianna Liconti. She is a marine ecologist and citizen science mediator and storyteller. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. It's really lovely to be here in an environment that for me is quite familiar, which is the boaters, but then at the same time being in an environment which is very familiar, which are the scientists. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we could collect an ocean and data altogether. So I'm a marine ecologist by training, but my life nowadays is more or less like this. I live full-time on board my sailing boat, very old one from 1981, and from there I project manage and I work on the communication of different projects, especially among citizen science initiatives, so the ways that we can all be involved in collecting data. And first I got involved, if I play this, okay. So first I got involved into marine ecology here. This is a picture of the rocks in which I grew up when I was small, in south of Italy, in the Strait of Messina. I don't know if you know the place, but the currents over there are really, really strong. I mean, this was a video of some of the currents over there, and you could see all of the whirlpools. It's a stunning place. And then when I went to study marine ecology, I started understanding that the same currents that were hitting my shores were also hitting the shores of the whole world. I started really to zoom out and to think that all of these whirlpools, this is a science visualization image from NASA, were happening at the same time now as we are speaking. And at the same time, I started to realize that we do not know a lot about the ocean. This is just from data that we know at the moment. So can I ask, how many people know what this animal is? Can you just put your hand up? Okay. Who wants to know how, what's the name of this animal? Just scream it at me, it's fine. What's sorry? Mola fish. Moonfish, yes. Moonfish or sunfish, it depends where you are in the world. Moonfish is also in Italian, but in English I think it's sunfish, because it loves to lie down into the sun and get rid of all of the barnacles and little things that grow on the side. But if you then have a look at the little dot over here, which says data deficient, so a lot of you now know what this animal is. But the IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, doesn't know a lot about this animal. It doesn't know if it needs to be protected. It doesn't know if it's near endangered. It doesn't know how many and where they are. It's data deficient. We don't have enough data and information in order to understand if this animal needs to be protected or not. And that's the problem. We do not know a lot about the ocean. But at the same time, we are here in a huge fair where people are there out in the ocean with ships, with super yachts, with smaller yachts, with dinghies. They are there. There's so many people. I mean, look at how much of the world is covered by ship tracks and sailing tracks. And this is not even taking into account a lot of the recreational sports that we're mentioning over here. But then, let me bring you to an example of a German example, actually. So this track here that goes all around the world is the track of a Vendée Globe. So a global sailing race in which solo, alone, people, they go all around the world. And Boris Herrmann, I'm sure that many of you know him, he has done the Vendée Globe many times, and this is the second to last time that he's done this Vendée Globe. Now, if I can bring your attention onto this paper, the scientific report, you can see 2018 to 2020, the red bar is how much we knew about the absorption and the exchange of CO2 between the atmosphere and the ocean. We didn't know a lot. And then, in 2021, with one Vendée Globe, all of those bars are just collected by one boat, the Malizia Sea Explorer. With only one Vendée Globe, we changed what we knew about the absorption of CO2 in the ocean by 10%. One boat, 10%. This is how small we know about the ocean and how much we could know more if we involved seafarers in collecting data. And this is what we're doing here. So you can see in our stand at the Love Your Ocean booth, we have selected a couple of instruments that you can use in order to collect data. So come and check them out. We have them here live at the hall. And we're also explaining how then all of the data that we collect, they are not just used by the scientists, but they can go back to ourselves. So we have the devices that go into the big softwares that Joanna was talking about as well, and then they go and they create the models that then we look at every day also to understand what is happening in the world, and also climate models. So this is what I do every day. I go around and I collect people that love the ocean with the scientists, and this is the boat in which I do it from, which is definitely a lot slower than the sailboats that I was showing you earlier. So yeah, it's time to give back to our playground. Come and see us at the stand, and if you scan this QR code, you can be added to a WhatsApp group in which we update all of the different initiatives that you can do to collect data. Thank you so much.
Francesca Trotman, Managing Director and Founder of Love the Oceans. There you are. Welcome to the stage. Thanks for being here.
Hi everybody, my name's Francesca Trotman. I run a marine conservation charity called Love the Oceans. I can talk about this for hours, so I'll be hanging around afterwards. I've got 5 minutes for this, and I know I have, so it's okay. But I'm going to try and cram everything we do into 5 minutes, so bear with me. I'm sorry if I speak very, very fast, but I can repeat things afterwards. So just to get started, what do we do? So we are, as I said, a marine conservation charity. We're based in Mozambique, East Coast Africa, and we do something called holistic conservation. So holistic conservation is like when you identify an environmental issue and you approach it from lots of different angles. So the nature of it means that, yes, you do a lot of research, but often it includes socio-ecological elements as well. So when we have people on site with us in Moz, I will sit down with a whiteboard for 3 hours and talk about how all of our projects were born and how they all interact with each other. And it ends up being a very complex spider web where you draw lots of lines, but you build it with the person so they understand it. Presenting that to you on a slide now would not be very constructive because it wouldn't make any sense straight away. So for the purpose of this talk, I've just split it into the 3 kind of categories of what we do. So our first one, education; second, research; third one, sustainability. And by sustainability, I really mean about the long-term, the longevity of the projects and the sustainability of them to be standalone. First, I'm going to talk about our research. So actually someone said it earlier, but evidence-based decision-making and evidence-based conservation is so important. I know a lot of us probably think, well, obviously that's the way that we should do things. You should definitely understand a subject before you make a decision on it. But historically, that has actually not been the case. So evidence-based conservation is a big part of what we do. Understanding the issue in order to create the conservation or intervention strategy that you're going to do with the right tools, the right people, and with the right intentions. So we do a lot of different areas of research. As I'm sure many of you divers also feel, the ocean is very complex, so when you just choose one thing, it doesn't quite work. So you end up having to do a lot of different research areas to get an entire understanding of the ecosystem. So we have our coral research, which is looking at biodiversity of the area, general reef health, but we also have a long-term plots project to looking at hard coral mortality and recruitment over a 5-year period. Our biodiversity data set will be publishing this year. Actually, it's 10 years now, which is crazy this year, which is a nice, healthy data set size. We also have a turtle project. We're lucky enough to have turtles nesting in our area. A fisheries project, which that's my jam. I know that dead fish is not a lot of people's jam, so I won't witter on about this, but obviously fisheries is an important part of marine protected area management, understanding food security in the area for our local community, but also the healthiness of our ecosystem and resilience of it and the fish population within it. We also have an ocean trash project, which I'm actually wearing the earrings from, but essentially we take plastics off beaches and upcycle them with micro businesses with us, local artisans in the area. You can actually buy these on Etsy if you want to support the trash project. And then our beta remote underwater video project, looking at shark and ray presence to understand meso predators in the area. So meso are your pelagic fish in the area. Understanding from because your biodiversity surveys, you as divers, you obviously are slightly biased the data yourself from being there, physically being there and scaring off the fish. So the BRUV surveys, beta remote underwater video surveys, remove that diver bias, so you get a good ecosystem overview combining those 2 data sets. And then we also have our megafauna research as well. We're lucky to have humpback whales, whale sharks and manta rays in our waters. So understanding the local conservation status of these animals is really important. Our mid-term goal is to establish marine protected areas, so all of this information informs legislation, which allows you to know what kind of laws should and shouldn't be in place, what kind of regulation should and shouldn't be in place, especially, I mean, obviously I'm biased because my background's fisheries, but for fisheries research it's very important to understand your catch limits and how to preserve and be able to sustainably use the ocean for food. So that's our research section. We also have our education section and our sustainability section. So This is really where people come into it. People are often the cause of the problem, so they need to be involved in the solution. I've just realised I've spoken for too long already, so I'm going to zoom through this real quick and take you through to the last slide. But we have a lot of different areas. We have a massive swimming project, which is actually a big pillar of what we do, because swimming is a barrier for many people to be able to successfully manage a marine protected area, because you need to be able to ecologically monitor the marine protected area, and to be able to do that you need to swim and therefore dive, and 95% of people in our area can't swim. So that's a big pillar of our work, as well as gender equity, which I'm happy to talk about another time, and our educational outreach. And then we have our Ripple Network, which is a big global network of NGOs, which we launched last year. So if you're interested in knowledge sharing across the planet with other NGOs, then please contact me. And that's it. Thank you for listening. Sorry for running over by a few minutes.
No worries. Happy that you can stay afterwards a little longer, so all of you can reach out to Francesca. I mentioned the Science Policy Interface earlier, but actually it's the Science Policy Society Interface, so really working together and informing each other. So thank you so much for showcasing some of the work that you do. I'm happy to introduce you to our next speaker. We still have 2 speakers to go, and the next one is Peggy Engelmann. She's the founder of the Fair Winds Collective. Welcome to the stage.
So, we are the Network for Change, Fair Winds Collective, Sustainability on the Blue Roads. This means we are international, and this means, of course, we can speak English. The thing is, we are representing all our partners, and the solutions are out there. So, when I started sailing, I discovered a lot of different projects. And one of them is Sailors for Sustainability. They've been crossing the world seas for 8 years, showcasing that there are people interested worldwide for solutions. And there's a book out there where you can discover this. But there's also other projects like Tilvera. They go in the northern hemispheres, they set sail. What does this mean? They are not using the engine, they are not disturbing the wildlife. Only for safety reasons they need to turn it from time to time on. But this means also you can step on board as a citizen. You can also practice citizen science, which is amazing. And if you find it out, you go just to the Fair Winds Collective partners and just click on them. Then we have sustainability in motion as a big topic. This means zero emission seafaring, as I said from the beginning. I've been sailing down left, first time in my life, 5 to 6 years ago with the Aventure. It started all with a coffee. I just was drinking sailed coffee, and then I decided to step on board to find out what this is about. And then I found out, okay, this is really sustainable. This is not polluting our seas by means of transport. This means 90% of your product is a decision where you are consuming. This means also you can consume in a bad way and in a good way. And the good news is you have a choice. Please make that choice in a very sustainable, prolonging future. This means also Fair Winds Collective is a meeting platform. We have in the middle down there the Flotilla for Change. They sailed to the COP30. They also supported the native people over there. They also went with them on the street, emerged with them and showcasing, hey, we can do something. Also, one of our members of the Fair Winds Collective is the captain of Greenpeace, the Rainbow Warrior, Hetty. She also gives me advice. She's also giving me news, what is happening out there at the seas, so we have direct connection. Inclusion is a big topic, female empowerment. Half of the crew is mainly female, so this means empowerment on all places. A European scale means strong partnerships, but not only European, it's also worldwide happening right now. How did that start? That I become a professional at sea. I started at the Nautical College in Enkhuizen, because what do you need to know? How the ocean works? How do you go at sea? This means you need to have the knowledge of a sailor, and this is the only school which provides knowledge just for sailing, not for the engine-powered vessels. So it's also a network over there. I've met there the Ocean Movement, and they're strong partners now. It's about citizen science, and it's about people getting reconnected by themselves to the seas. To the next part, you see students down there. I've been sailing 7 months, twice across the Atlantic, and educating them about sustainability at seas.
The project is called High Seas High School. And on this side, you see me just practicing on board the Golden Leo. Now I'm a sailing officer. I'm also crossing the Atlantic as a professional now. Why sailing changes how we care? It's a connection through experience. This means we get back to the elements, and this makes us feel alive. This also happened to me when I was at the sea. I discovered all the elements. I discovered the wind. I discovered the sea, how the water was moving, and how we are all related. And you know what? I was on a voyage when COVID hit. So we really related on resources we had on board. We were rationing, we were short on sources, we were repairing stuff. We were really, I hope this does not happen to you, but it was the experience of my life, and I stick to it because it was amazing to find out that we can live with just limited resources. And then intuition and action comes into place. This means we are helping each other, we are finding out what it means to wait. Actually, we can wait, we can relax. We don't need to stress. Even if we want to go somewhere, if there's no wind, if there's no wind power, we just drift. Work will be always there. We can observe the sea and the area around us. So this is the ship which I was traveling with the first time in my life, bringing coffee and cacao back to Europe, and this is something you can discover as well. It starts with your coffee in the morning. Maybe you get something very nice for yourself. What we are doing, we are uniting all the sustainable sailing projects. It's about citizen science, it's about education, and it's about sustainable shipping. It's shared values, it's an experience. And please follow us wherever you can find us. Check out our partner, because it is all about the relationship at the sea, with the ocean. Sustainability is not happening in the future, it's sailing right now. Thank you very much. I'm Peggy.
Thank you very much, Peggy. As we've heard at the beginning, sailors are the first ones to experience the ocean, and I think this passion you brought to us very lively. If I don't know about you, I would like to step on board with you right away and sail. So hopefully at some point we can do that maybe.
Please feel invited, all of you. You can do that.
Thank you so much. We come to our last speaker, Frank Schweikert, the founder of the German Ocean Foundation. Thank you for joining me on stage.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. And I'm very grateful for all of you contributing to this really great forum. Thank you for all your contributions. Thank you for my colleague, Julia Ritter, who was curating and organizing this forum. And at the end, I want to say thank you to all the people who support us with Love Your Ocean. And I want to give you an overview what the German Ocean Foundation achieved in the last 5 years, contributing to the decade. Which is not really easy, but the German Ocean Foundation's goal is to connect the people, and these goals are to 90% in line with the goals of the Ocean Decade. So you all know the 7 decade outcomes. So we have them on virtual islands on Love Your Ocean. I don't want to repeat them because all of you know. Then we have, in addition, 10 challenges. First of all, marine pollution, then ecosystem biodiversity, then we have ocean economy, which we need to make more resilient. We have the big things we need to solve with ocean data, etc. And so now I will give you an overview about our 12, 13, 14 projects and the goals and the impact we made. So first of all, Aldebaran, the research and communication vessel, which is also sailing vessel. And I started this more than 30 years ago with the idea that research needs to be in line with environmental things. And so with this boat we can sail, and we can also discover very shallow areas in the ocean. So this is the area where the humans are in contact with the ocean personally, and when there is someone want to help us on the boat, feel welcome. Then we have the same, but in miniature figure in the Miniature Wonderland, which is a very powerful tourist attraction in Germany. It's in Hamburg, and you can see also the 7 goals of the decade in this Miniature Wonderland. And very close to Miniature Wonderland is Cap San Diego. Maybe you know the white boat in the middle of Hamburg Harbor. There is an exhibition, the only exhibition for the Ocean Decade in Germany is a science multimedia show, and a lot of partners, a lot of interesting partners are connected with. It's the German Ocean Foundation, the German Society of the United Nations, the Elias Glassing Verlag, so people from the water sport industry, and DGM is the German Society for Marine Research, and Rotaries also. And I'm very happy to announce that we have also started with the biggest ocean citizen science project. When you look to the 3 divers on the above the Lafayette Ocean place, they represent that we get 10 million data from Scuba Schools International to share with scientific data platforms, AMODNet in the European Commission. And we want to continue this work with a project called Ocean Knowledge Base, because a lot of data, a lot of information about the ocean from the science community end up in big data stores, and we need to take them out and make them work for society. So this is the next thing we want to do. And then Lafayette Ocean, you know this place, we have 100 partners on nearly 1,000 square meters, and I counted that around 25,000 working hours are behind this 1,000 square meters. So thanks a lot to all of you who contribute to Lafayette Ocean this year, next year, and the next years. So yeah, big applause, thanks. And then tomorrow we will hand over the Ocean Tribute Award. It's a prize dedicated to ocean protection people and institutions, so let's wait until tomorrow who will be the winner. It will be a small award ceremony in the town hall here in Düsseldorf. Then, since more than 20 years, we make the ocean contest for young people because we want to engage and motivate young people to work on their own ocean research ideas. And if you are older than the age of 15, you're welcome to take part in this activity. And if you want to bring ocean to schools, we have the Ocean Lovers Education Platform in close collaboration with the International Ocean Film Tour, and we reach also around 1 million people with this initiative. Then we have the Ocean Conference Series, so this Ocean Forum is part of the Ocean Conference Series, so all of these activities endorsed by the United Nations Ocean Decade. And we have a series, another one, a media campaign called Ocean Heroes. So if my colleagues sitting there ask you to make a short statement, then we'll be part of Ocean Heroes. And we started 4 years ago with an ocean light installation. It was very frozen in Hamburg Harbor, in the harbor city. And so we started the Ocean Decade in Hamburg. Today we have the midterm of the Ocean Decade, and I thank all of you to come here to Düsseldorf, to this boat show, to this Ocean Forum, and I thank also my team and also Laura for this nice moderation. And I think we both and the boat show will invite you for a glass of beer and wine or whatever. And now it's the end of my time. Thanks a lot, and have fun and have good conversations now with the small reception. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Juan, for showcasing all the great work that you do. And as I said at the beginning, sincere congratulations. Without you, we wouldn't be here. So as you said, I would like to invite all of you to mingle a little bit, to stay around. We have drinks over there at the Love Your Ocean exhibition floor. So feel free to reach out to all the speakers, ask the questions that you would like. And thank you very much for staying with us through the Ocean Forum. Have a nice evening.
so far.